This is Secrets to Win Big, your roadmap to sustained growth. Brought to you by Arjun Sen, founder and CEO of Zen Mango, top brand growth driver, and a former Fortune 500 executive who has been called one of the most marketing intelligent minds in the business. Find him at zenmango.com. And now, here's your host, Arjun Sen.
Welcome to Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen. Hi, this is Arjun. Winning is fun, but winning big makes it sustainable long-term wins. Especially for small to mid-sized businesses, winning big is very important because it changes the culture in an organization. We get excited to be part of this winning team. And I have the best seat in the house to have this amazing conversation with thought leaders from all over the world, all walks of life. And the reason it's important is none of our journeys start at the same place. None of our journeys end at the same place. And our paths are all different. That's the reason talking to leaders from all walks of life all over the world is important. And in that spirit, today, I'm absolutely excited to welcome Ramon Ray. Ramon, welcome.
Hey, Arjun, thank you so much. It's good to be here. Just reading your email introduction to me, sometimes as we were scheduling this, I knew you were a very warm and amazing person. So, Arjun, I'm honored to be here and share what I can humbly with the Arjun community. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. So let me give a little background about this incredible human being. Ramon Ray is a small business growth expert. And I would just clarify, sometimes expertise is about a concept. This is a man who makes an impact for brands, who works with leading brands such as Dell and Hulu to help them connect with small businesses. He's an entrepreneur who started smallbusinesstechnology.com and Smart Hustle Media. And I'm really intrigued to know a little more about each one of these. And all these inspires and educates small business owners to help them grow. What fascinated me about this part of his impact is not only he's working with big major brands to connect them with small businesses, he also is seeing what small businesses need. And that is the level of zoom. Once you have that kind of a vision, that makes it really powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be exciting.
Yes. Also, he is a global speaker, and you will see him on a stage very close to you. Best-selling author of his latest book, The Celebrity CEO, How Entrepreneurs Can Thrive and Build a Community and a Strong Personal Brand. And he's a cool dad. And, me being a dad to a 26-year-old going on 55, right away, I could relate.
Yes.
Ramon, welcome to Secrets to Win Big one more time. And thank you, my friend, for taking time today.
Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you for your warm welcome. And I can't wait till we meet in person one day and give each other a big handshake or hug, whatever your preference is. So thank you.
Looking forward to it. So let me start. Your career started at United Nations. First as a temporary staff member, and then over the next 10 years, you were there making an impact at United Nations. Wow.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, what kind of an experience was it? How did it change your whole perspective?
Yeah, it was. I spent a large part of my career there, Arjun, and I think it was interesting. It was overall good, but I must say it was bittersweet. And so here's my point. The UN, first of all, is an amazing organization, helping the world and trying to do their best to keep the world a stable place, as most listening know. So that's the good part of the United Nations. I think that where the challenge happened, Arjun, for me is that, when you fit a square peg into the proverbial round hole, that's where we have problems. So myself, as you may get a sense, being energetic, being vivacious, being outward, being rabble-roused or liking to break the mold and etc., that often caused a lot of challenges in the role that I had there. So while the UN, the United Nations, was a great organization, and I learned quite a bit. Let me focus on the positive as well, but you stop me anytime if I'm going too long here. But I think the positive side was learning diplomacy from a distance. I wasn't a diplomat, but learning diplomacy from a distance. Being able to appreciate cultures, Arjun. You're in an elevator with 5 people. 3 people may speak 20 different languages. So I'll pause there, but those are some of the experiences, learn the positive. And I think the part that could be done better is, when you have someone somewhere and, there's something doesn't fit, it's best if both separate so both can grow better.
So tell me a little bit about the second part. I really love that concept of how do you pause and see when you have a square peg and a round hole you really need to revisit. And sometimes I think, it's both for small and big organizations. We get too stubborn and we don't take that little left turn. So, can you give me an example later on in life when you changed course because it demanded something new?
Yeah. And I think if I understand the question correctly, I think one example at the United Nations where I could learn and where I had to grow a bit is, the UN, we worked very closely with the Japanese due to a variety of reasons, the organization I was with at the time. So I went to the Japanese mission. For those who don't know the name, meaning we're in the US, you have the UN, you called it missions, the different country offices that they had. For sake of conversation, I know you know this, but for others. So I went to the Japanese mission and I greeted the lady, Arjun, typical American fashion. You can imagine, hey, how are you? What's going on with my hand out? Arjun, for Asia, that's a no-no. It's not right or wrong. Mm-hmm. Two different cultures. Mm-hmm. So I think that was my appreciation of learning. Yeah, I'm me. I like red or I like blue. I eat oranges. I had orange for lunch. Arjun may not. We can still be humans, appreciate, respect one another. But I have to talk to him his language. He has to talk to me my language. So let me know if that was helpful. But I think that's kind of what I learned.
I love that.
Something that carried me.
Absolutely. And to me, I think many a time, what you just taught me is it's very important to put yourself in the position of the other person. Because to me, a conversation happens where you take the conversation and you deliver to the other person. And I'll give you a very goofy example. Okay. In my first marriage, on our first wedding anniversary, I bought for my wife then this most amazing camera.
Okay.
And her expressions was priceless because she has never been on the picture taking side of a camera ever before. Okay. I wanted the camera for myself. Okay. And again, to me, when I look back and after all these years, we have an amazing daughter, but when we just talk about our daughter and from time to time go back and she still asks me, Arjun, what were you thinking? I'm like, I don't know, girl. I just have learned. But to me, I think sometimes putting yourself in the other person's position is very important.
It's so essence. You're right. I think we don't do that probably enough times. I mean, we like to think we do. As you're married, I've been married for years. And I think that if we do that more in business or in personal relationships, definitely things will be better. It's empathy.
And, I want to take this discussion to somewhere a little different.
Sure.
You talk about you got bit by the business bug at a very early age, and you started small companies and then continued on this spirit of entrepreneurship. What is this business bug? How did this change you?
Yeah, I think you can help me get that answer better than I can get it myself. So I'm going to say a bit, but then you challenge it or help me morph it. How about that? You can help me help myself.
I'm all for chat.
All right, good.
That's easy.
Here's
cool things.
Here's how I can see it. I think two things translated this into business. One, I've always been a person to want to just be different, rock the boat, doing silly, stupid things when I was young. I think two, having an inquisitive attitude, which for a young child can be bad. Why? So there's times to listen and do what you're told. But as example, at my younger years and younger per se, but at beginning years at the United Nations, which caused some conflict, Arjun, I was always asking, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it this way? Why do we have to do this way? Always. And, I was always kind of put in the box, not literally, but felt, hey, just shut up and keep your head forward and keep moving. So I think that's two. This aspect of being a rabble-rouser, always inquisitive. And I think three, I don't understand why that. I mean, that's how God made us all differently. But I think the third part of that, Arjun, is this desire to create. I always had the attitude, oh, you know what? Let me try to tinker with this, be it a teddy bear, taking it apart, or a venture. Many things that failed or didn't work out. So if that's helpful, I think that inquisitiveness, that always wanting, as my virtual mentor, Seth Godin says, poke the box. And I think this third thing, always wondering to imagine. I think when you shake those things up, some, if not all of those things, Arjun, as you may agree, are the result of entrepreneurship. But in my case, I just didn't know that. My parents were wonderful people, nothing negative again on them, but I just didn't have, it wasn't like the story we hear on Shark Tank. My mother was an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur. So I watched them from a distance. No, that wasn't my journey. And only later on did I realize, oh, this is entrepreneurship, this skill, this thing that I feel, if that's helpful.
It's really helpful because I would go backwards and recap the three things you talked about because they will stay with me and rest of us listening. I love your confidence, the confidence to create things, confidence to start the new adventure. Because to me, so many of us get into a status quo and we try to do the same thing, same way. The second, I loved the curiosity, because without curiosity, you cannot be adventurous. And the most important thing is, what you said was be different, because, Ramon, between you and me, the world really doesn't need another small business consultant. But if the world needs you, the small business consultant.
And it doesn't need another speaker either. There's a dime a dozen. There's what, a couple million of us?
Yeah, totally. But it needs you to bring your message. And I really feel that's the part where earlier, when I would talk to people, I would always try to see the intersection of passion and skill where they are operating. But you bring a third dimension. It's not about passion and skill intersection alone, but also making an impact in others. So I just want to go back and try to understand, where does this passion to make an impact come, from an early age, or inspiration, and how have you kept this going all through your life in this journey?
Sure. No, thank you for asking. And I think, if I may just also underline one point, I think that the positivity of three things we just said is good. But I do think, as you know, you help people in these things, is as you grow, you do need to make sure other members of your team help you. So I just want to add that as well, those listening to us. I'm my way, but Arjun, I couldn't grow a bit. I mean, you can grow a business alone to a point, but while I'm squirrel, oh, let's go to space. Let's do a mattress company. Me and Arjun, let's create another company. You need somebody in our life to say, guys, boys, hello, Ramon, let me help you build it. So I just wanted to add that point as well. It's important.
Love that.
But I think making an impact, I think that, yes, I think there's some people, and I'd like to know what you think, Arjun, who really have that at their core, where it's very purposeful. I want to change the world with my business. You have the founders, I think, of Bombas. Part of their business model was, we want to give socks away. Part of Tom's Shoes, we want to give a shoe away every time you buy it. Charity Water, which is a nonprofit, but the similar principle. I must say, mine is not first and foremost, I'm creating Smart Hustle in my companies to give back, not that proactively. But you're right, and you're perceiving a big part of what I do, a big part of what I love is mentorship. So yes, Smart Hustle, our core values, our mission, rather, we inspire and educate small business owners to start and grow successful businesses. Right on our website, it's how I live and breathe. So that's what we do, to change people that way. But the bigger impact, and I learned this from another CEO, is I want to build the business. I believe in building wealth, but so that me and my wife and family, we can live more even of the life we want to serve others, if that makes sense. So my God job, I want to be able to take vacation, live nice, but a big part of that, go to a developing country. A big part of that, come in the United States to a group of kids who don't have what I have. A big part of that, to donate money. And money's important to others. So if that's helpful, that's how I unpack that.
I love that blend of passion and generosity. And, when you talk about the core of being purposeful, changing the world, making an impact, I really feel the size of the world starts with one person. And I want to take this moment to celebrate somebody who is very special in my life, my mother-in-law. We call her Amma. 88-year-old person, amazing energy. She cooks 4 meals for all of us when she gets a chance every day. But she lives every day thinking about all of us, the family, the community, praying for all of us. And to me, I just have never seen her ask or take something for herself. And I just think that, people like that not only make an impact, but as you're talking about the impact you're making in future, in the culture, and also the environment that you're creating for each of the small businesses. Like, to me, if we do a net present value of the impact for each business you have impacted, that's incredible amount of wealth you're creating for others. And the same way for Amma, my amazing mother-in-law. She is such an amazing human being. So I really want to do a little shout out for her.
Absolutely. Shout out to, I'll join you in shouting out to Amma. And curious, Arjun, what is your favorite meal that you cook? If you have a favorite, mention one.
Oh, she makes this incredibly simple lentil preparation.
Okay.
And lentil is something which is so ordinary, but she makes it wow. She makes the best coffee in the morning. And before that, I thought coffee was coffee. But Amma's coffee, once you have it, like when she is in Dallas, I take my team there just to have Amma's coffee. And I'm telling you, if you're in Dallas, Ramon, you and I will go and have Amma's coffee. And if you like coffee, that's the best cup of coffee guaranteed ever.
Arjun, on this show, people are going to hear the promise. We have to make sure this happens when safe as possible. I travel, you travel. Hopefully in 2021, if not sometime. And by the way, a little personal, my wife, who's an amazing cook, she loves to make lentils as well. That's one of her signature dishes is a lentil dish.
So we will meet at Amma's kitchen soon.
Absolutely.
So now let's go back to Smart Hustle Media. Okay.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about how this started. What's the vision, impact, purpose of this business? And what gets you excited about this?
Absolutely. For much of my life, I started my second company. I think it was my second, smallbiztechnology.com. I bought the domain in April 1999. So that's smallbiztechnology.com. And I sold that, I think, 2 years ago, which would be 20 years to the date. And I'm leading up to, I've been known as the tech guy, the small business technology guy for many years, Arjun. Mm-hmm. But I was just tired of it. I remember, as I said before, you're talking to the guy who gets bored easily. I change focus quickly. That's just me. So I was just tired of kind of being some people may know CNET or kind of one of the tech company, the tech news sites. I was tired of reporting on the printer has faster speed, the cell phone has a new chip, the techie things, because in small business, from what I see, in a good way, we're a bit boring. We don't speeds and feeds, JavaScript coding, how fast is a website. We're trying to get more customers. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get finances under control. We're not techies to a degree. So I think it was 5 years ago, 2015, I want to say 2015, I think I launched it. I said, you know what, how can I start to expand my thought leadership around entrepreneurship? That's when I had the idea of Hustle. For some reason, I can't remember why Smart Hustle stuck into my brain. There was a gentleman somewhere in Sweden, or somewhere in Europe rather, who owned the domain name. I went through a GoDaddy proxy site and paid several $1,000s for the domain name. And lo and behold, today, there's smarthustle.com, and we inspire, we educate small business owners going to a broad level to help people start to give them hope with how they can grow their businesses, with a focus on my kind of specialty of the marketing, personal branding, event marketing, and et cetera. And that's what we do at smarthustle.com.
So to me, as I'm listening to you, what hits home is you see more than anyone else. And that to me, I find to be such an important business skill is, in a world, not that many things need to be invented, but a lot of things need to be discovered. And a true leader who sees what others don't see really makes a bigger impact. Like, think, anywhere in the world, if you and I go and ask who is one of the top detectives of all times, Sherlock Holmes' name will come in.
Absolutely.
And, I could work for you as a detective and follow a 50-step process, but Sherlock Holmes will come and move the table leg, and under that we'll find a hair and like eureka moment.
Yes. For
you, as you go through helping businesses, how do you see what others don't?
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. I'll just say thank you, and I'll embrace that kind word. I think part of it, which I need to do a lot more, and this is really not my skill. In fairness, I must say it's ironic. Arjun, I just recently hired my son to come and work for Smart Hustle. He's been working with us for about 6 to 8 weeks. And we put a SWOT analysis together.
You have to mention him by name, give a little shout out.
Oh.
Come on.
Hey, Tim Ray. How are you, Tim? Tim. His name is Tim.
How old is he?
He's about 27, give or take, and he lives in Europe.
Nice.
Yes. So my point being, though, his strength, from what I can see, is the aspect of reading people, understanding, self-awareness. Mm-hmm. Not my strength 100%. But to answer the question fully, I think it's a honed skill, I'll use that word, from interviewing so many people. Mm-hmm. I've done hundreds and hundreds, I doubt thousands, but hundreds of interviews, as you've done, Arjun. And I think when you do that, you can put two sides of your brain on it. I usually tend to be faster and shorter, but I think after you do that, you listen. You know where the conversation wants to go. So especially as a professional host, I'm at often, Arjun, a lot of live events where I have to quickly read a situation. The producer speaking in this ear, you, the guest, are in front of me. I have the crowd there. I have to quickly assimilate all these things to keep the show going. It sounds weird, and I thank God that I can do it. But if that's helpful to answer it about listening, I think it's part of that, being able to, it's not like the Tim Ferriss or Arjun style of maybe a long form, full discussion. That's one method. But mine's more the fast-paced, 1,000 things are moving. The back of the kitchen, that's where I thrive. It's not going to be perfect, but yet people will have a good time. But that's kind of how I see it, if that makes sense.
I love that. But I would still give you credit because to me, you were very kind and modest to give Tim Ray, who is absolutely incredible. And of course, he is the cooler of the Rays.
He is.
I know. But for you, you saw him fit in as a missing piece of a puzzle in your business. Okay. You saw the need, and that got him excited to be part of this journey. And I really think that that is very important because even though Tim Ray brings incredible talent and skills and passion, but you seeing how that piece fits, and it has to be the right piece. You were not trying to fit, again, going back to where we started, the round piece in a square hole. I really feel that that is so important.
Yeah. And I think if it's helpful, Arjun, I think in fairness to the whole journey, I think if as people, I always, as I know you want to teach and help people understand to apply it to themselves. I think that a few things, I think one, this didn't happen overnight. I think two, I probably approached it the wrong way many times as I was asking, as we were thinking how to do it. Three, I'm thankful, we all need someone to put into our ear, my wife, for being part of that journey and helping to formulate the idea as well. And then I think fourth, him. So to your point, yes, I think that it does take something. And I must say, I'll shift to something else. I never understood why founders want co-founders so bad. Only now during the last 30 days, 40 days, am I seeing, Arjun, the importance of growing a business with somebody else. It's a lot easier because you have someone who's not just a staff member. And I have a great team. I have a wonderful team of about 5 people. But to have someone who's more or less thinking as a partner, thinking as an owner, it's a whole nother ballgame, as I'm sure you know, and people who you work with all the time.
So to me, you talked a lot about the mega productions. And one of the things, as I went through your background, to me, that's the part where I was so happy and proud, a little bit envious too, I have to admit, was that you interviewed the sharks on the show Shark Tank. Okay. Yes. I kept thinking, man, this is a guy who now I can say, write a book, Swimming with the Sharks. Okay.
I love it.
Tell me a little bit about that interview. What did you learn? It's such an amazing moment. Just share that with us, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've interviewed all 5 sharks and was on stage with Damon John, interviewed Barbara Corcoran, interviewed Lori Grenier, been with Robert Herjavec 2 or 3 times, Mark Cuban. I think that's all of them I mentioned. So yeah, so I think learning from them, and I haven't had long conversations with all, but here's my summary of it. And some of people may not like to hear, but I'll tell you the whole thing. I think one, there are many, many people out there, Arjun probably included, who could be sharks. They were just picked and found, and they're sharks. As you kind of hinted, our worlds are all small. There's no room for 1,000 sharks on Shark Tank. It's one show. So that's one to everybody keep in mind. Damon John was a fashionista, was a fashion designer, just like many of the fashion designers. He was picked, though, to be on Shark Tank. There's a few billionaires out there, Mark Cuban, so that's one. I think, too, seeing the show many times, especially, they seem very attuned, Arjun, to what they're not. Very attuned. You'll see somebody with the perfect qualification. Mark Cuban may say, you know what? I'm only into fintech and billion-dollar ideas. This is great what you're doing. It's not big enough. I'm out. Very simple. Or you'll hear somebody say, Lori Grenier, I love this. It's good. But you know what? I'm not interested. I will never eat your pizza that has meat on it. So I'm not going to invest. So I think that's something, and I must say, Arjun, only in the past few, I've known to do this, but as one who's kind of, I shouldn't say scatterbrain, but you know what I'm trying to say. That's my thing. I'm, all over. But I'm learning more and more as I grow in my business. I have to learn to say no more. And I've done that increasingly, where I've had to look at opportunities. What is the value, the impact of my time? Because as you do more and more and more, and God blesses us more and more, you realize saying yes to this means no to that. So every yes and no is important.
And that's one thing I've seen with the coolest of CEOs. They clearly know ahead of time what is not in focus, what they do not want to do, and what they will not do. Yeah. And it's so easy. It's just like UPS algorithm is all about not taking left turns. Okay. As they drive, they would go a little further because it's much faster. They figured it out. Yes. The same way these guys know what not to do, because I really think that's the part where you and I both have 24 hours in a day, because at the end, it's all about being more efficient, effective, and maximizing on our time. But I want to go back to what you said really hit home is giving credit to these five sharks. Absolutely, they're amazing, great impact. But there's a shark in each one of us.
Absolutely.
So what would be your advice and wisdom to each one of us to find that shark in us?
Yeah. I think one thing that comes to mind, and I've been thinking about this today, and I get this from my friend or associate, Amanda Holmes. You may know the name Chet Holmes, the sales company, but Amanda Holmes, her father died some years ago. Chet Holmes, a master salesperson, she took over the company. But one thing she has is called the Dream 100. Who are your top dream or focused 100 people? And I think that since the world's so big, Arjun, we cannot know everybody. It's impossible. But we can try to make the world smaller and say, let me focus on the top 10, top 3, top 5, top 50, dream 100 people in my life. So my point is how we can all be the sharks, I think, are, even though the opportunities may change, what I say yes and no to. What I try to be attuned to is who's asking me. So where somebody else may say, hey, Ramon, we want you to fly here. We have no money to pay you. It's going to be in the rain. It's only going to be 2 people in the room. Could you come? That's automatically, instantaneously no. Oh, wait a minute. Arjun said it. Oh, because it's the who. So if you feel what I mean. So I think that's one thing that's very helpful. And they do this, again, Shark Tank. They have other lives, the sharks, by the way. Keep that in mind. But Shark Tank gives us a good vision to their thinking. They'll often say, even if they don't accept this deal, it's okay, it's good. But you're amazing. So I'm learning more and more also to evaluate who is the person connected to what I want to do and how to make it strategic.
I love that. Because to me, there are so many nuggets in what you said. The clarity of yes and no, the clarity of seeing who, and the commitment that even if it's 2 people, you're showing 100%. You're not showing 42% of you and the remaining 58 is like, what the heck am I doing here? I love that. I absolutely love it.
And Arjun, is there time for me to give you an example of that? May I?
Of course.
Yeah, I just want to say, so a friend of mine, he's a photographer to celebrities and billionaires and et cetera. That's not the point, but just to put the context, he's a photographer. So a few weeks ago, Arjun, I stopped doing, because of COVID, most likely, and I'm sure you've been invited, maybe you've done some, there's been a lot of speaker summits. We'll gather 20 people together, we'll do the event online, everybody market it out, everybody push it out, they ask you what the size of your list is, all those things. I stopped doing that, Arjun. I've realized the value for me to do events like that at this level that I've been blessed to be at, it's not there. But someone asked me just 3 days ago, they're doing a similar event, bringing speakers together, promote it, blah, blah, blah. Can you do it? I changed my no from a yes just to illustrate that because of who they were. We have history. They're in my small circle. So the only answer within reason is yes. So just to help on that, saying no, but having exceptions if need be.
I love that. So to me, from there, I just want to go and try to understand how you are successful. I just want to understand when you're working with your team, how would you describe your leadership style? What makes you great at getting everybody in your team or even external team when you work with a small business perform at the highest level?
Sure. Well, I have a lot of room to grow, But I think a few things have helped me from what my team has told me, I think one, they know that I care. I think, Arjun, you can go to a restaurant, the food should be good, yes, but it doesn't have to be perfect. But if the service is bad, game over. It's just a non-starter. So I think one thing I try to do is to show the team that I care. That's one. 2, what I've been doing in recent days, and I think the best thing any of us leaders can do, Arjun, is to invest in our own leadership. So I'm sure you've looked at even, I have this right to my left. I'll pull out one book here, Guy Raz's How I Built This, Gino Wickman's Traction, and I can go on and on to pull out books, but I try to invest in myself because I've realized if I'm not a better leader, if I'm not maximizing how I am, how can I lead my team? So that's 2. I think 3, really doing my best to get out of their way, and not in a bad way that I'm not going to lead, but realizing what are the things that I do best. And for our company, Arjun, there's 2 things that I think I do very well. One is selling. I love selling big deals to clients. I love it. And I do it well because you can love things and not do it well. 2 is visioning. I dream. If I talk too long about it, I always choke up on this, Arjun. I can sit and say, you know what? Ooh, let's do the Thanksgiving 400 hours event. Sounds crazy, sounds weird, but I thrive in that.
Mhm.
Everybody else can do things that I can't do. So the point of what makes being a good leader for me, I think, is showing the team that I care, showing the team that I trust them, trying to be very clear on what the outcomes will be that I want, giving room for failure, respecting that I value your idea. Those are a few things I think, Arjun, that I do well. And I have a lot of the things to learn. For example, one thing I can do a lot better is probably just being more focused, because sometimes that can take my team to angst from, oh, last week you said this way, now we're going this way. But overall, I try to listen and try to show them that I care.
I love that. And to me, I think sometimes when you have a great team, then you have the luxury of being a little bit off focus, because you are now looking at other opportunities, and the team will bring you back to where you need to be.
You are so true, Arjun. You are so true. And I experience that often, meaning, I'm grateful. I have, for example, my executive assistant. She just told me about a month ago, she said, Ramon, you need to start color coding your calendar. Do you know, it sounds duh. Many of the productivity people probably do it. I never did it. Small change, but mentally, now when I look at my calendar, red days or red calendars, things that don't change, like this appointment, red. I have orange things, can change if you really have to, shouldn't do it though. Then I have green things that are like events that I'm not a part of, but I just want to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And so that color coding, which sounds simple to probably half your audience knows it already, for me it was new, transformative.
So what's her name?
My team does. You're a shout out person. I know where this is going. Jamie's her name.
Jamie, thank you for teaching all of us the smallest of things which somebody like Arjun who is not organized can do. But Jamie, every time I color code, and there'll be a smile, and I'm going to send you invisible thank you waves for amazing wisdom. One thing also, Raymond, that you talked about is the spirit of always getting better. Okay? When I was working with one of the top golfers, what amazed me was from the age of 5, this guy has put in 14 to 15 hours a day to maintain and enhance current skills. Okay?
Yes.
And I was thinking twice a year, I go to a conference, hang out with the same people, share a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. I think that's personal development. No way. And when I asked him, what he taught me was this amazing one line is, only the best continuously make effort to get better. Rest of us are boring people who go back and relive that big win from 10 years back. And your desire to constantly get better, like I'm sure that effort that you put and the awareness, when you and I will have a conversation, I'm sure again, maybe in 2022 and then 2025, you will be so much more evolved. Not that you're not cool today, but I'm just really having goosebumps thinking about how cool you will be with the constant improvement that you're going through. So with all your wisdom, Raymond, if you could go back and give an advice to yourself, like visualize you're graduating from high school, that young man with the whole world in front, you could just find that kiddo and give him one piece of advice. What would that advice be?
Definitely to slow down and take my time. There's a lot of other advice, but I think that's the biggest Achilles heel, which sometimes our Achilles heel can be our greatest blessing. Our greatest blessing, can be the opposite. But I think for me, I wish over time I would have taken the time to slow down and be more thoughtful. Maybe I would have come to the same answer. 2 plus 2, 5. Let me slow down. 2 plus 2. Still came to 5. Okay. But at least you slowed down and thought about it. I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice, Arjun, because I'm a very compulsive, rushing person. And it's ironic. I talked about this paper here. I don't mind showing it, but I'll just wave it. This little paper here is the paper that me and my son, we were talking a few days ago, 3-hour call almost we had, where we talked about our strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. So the point being, Arjun, to answer the question, my younger self, I would tell Ramon, slow down and take your time.
So tell me a little bit more about Hustle Smart, that amazing message that you have behind you.
Yeah, listen, it's a playoff, of course, of Smart Hustle. But I think that hustle, it's a given, Arjun. I think that most people in the world are going to hustle. I think that's relatively, unless there's something wrong with them or whatever, most people want to work hard. I live in the Northeast New York City area, Brooklyn, Newark, gritty part of the city, a lot of homeless people, which is, of course, all over the world. These guys are hustling, working hard, squeegee windows, whatever they're doing. It's a hustle and a grind. But I think that where that comes to those of us, Arjun, entrepreneurs and people who can have whatever success may mean for you or for me. That's a subjective word. But some level of success, I think the difference is we do it just a bit smarter. I think that's kind of the things that we're seeing. That doesn't mean we won't fail. This doesn't mean life, I can't help it, right? The building I'm in collapses. Who knew? That's not my fault. But beyond those things, that's what hustle smart means to me. Hustle, that's a given. We're all most likely going to try to do that. But the small difference will be the smart. Kobe Bryant, right? His legacy. Michael Jordan, if anybody's seen the Netflix documentary. This doesn't mean everybody else didn't work hard, but the common thread, these guys, they said the gym opens at 6. Everybody else showed up at 6:10. They were there already at 4.
Wow. And that smart part, I think, is very important. I would go back, ask you, I know there have been a lot of mentors in your life. Is there one piece of advice from a mentor that stands out?
Yeah, I have 2 mentors. One is a friend. If I give you 2, maybe. One is named Yakov Urinsky. Shout out to him. He's an entrepreneur, business owner in Midtown Manhattan, doing amazing things. The second one has passed away. He was an Indian gentleman in the United Nations, Hindu gentleman. I say that because of context. That was the background that we knew each other. You know, this guy who over the years, I'm like, Mr. Nathan, you don't wish you had a hamburger? He would smile and pat me on the head. Ramon, I've never had meat. I don't know what it tastes like. So his name was Mr. Chidambaranathan. I will never forget him. He's passed away, but he just taught me so much. Because in the office I was in, Arjun, as I said, it was a lot of tension. There was some issues with their personnel issues and et cetera. But I could always go to his office and cry. I could go to his office and curse him out. I'd go to his office and scream at him and stomp my feet. And he would have his apple or banana with his water.
Yeah, I'm so glad you shared.
He would listen.
Mr. Chidambaram, yes.
You know, I would say he would listen and quietly, meaning the silence was, that's what he would do, just smile at me like that. And then he would give me advice. And his advice was, Ramon, don't be so angry now. Before you write that email, before you write that note, before you make that call, wait till tomorrow.
So what's the best advice you've got from your wife ever?
Ooh, all the time. I think the best advice, one, is to slow down. She kind of echoes that slow down.
Give a little shout out. I just have to prompt you. Yeah.
Okay. Ronnie, I love you. By the way, Arjun, ironically, she's right to my right. But my wife, Ronnie, we've homeschooled our children, and she's retired, as it were. She's still a young woman, but, retired from homeschooling, and she makes wreaths. So she has an amazing wreath business, ronswreaths.com. And we've been married for 26 years, going on 27. So Ronnie's her name. So thank you for giving me that space. But I think probably the best advice, I don't think it's one piece, Arjun, because she's given so many words of advice. But the one thing for sure she tells me often, Ramon, slow down, slow down, slow down. I think that's the one thing that echoes in there. And I think the second thing, which hasn't been a lot, but this is what sticks to mind, is often kind of encouraging me to be a little more empathetic. I can be sometimes a bulldozer, rush through. Okay, everybody, we're here now. Arjun, sit down. Arjun, move out of the way. Arjun. And I'm like, why am I yelling at this poor guy? He doesn't, whatever, I didn't take the time to even, I'm sorry, Arjun, I didn't realize you had headphones on. So I think those are 2 things I can think of.
And if ever anybody asks you what advice Arjun gave you, just remember LTR.
Okay.
Listen to Ronnie. That's my advice. And you cannot go wrong. And I cannot go wrong with that advice. Okay.
Arjun, you are absolutely an epic, one of the best interviewers I've been with for a long time, man. I love your style.
Truly a pleasure. So now I want to ask you something very personal. Okay.
Please.
You are a very modest human being. You always look at ways to improve. You give everybody credit. But I also feel that this level of success does not happen without a process. I just feel that success without a process, success without a plan cannot be repeated. Okay. So is there a ritual or a process you have when you wake up first thing in the morning or last thing when you're wrapping up your workday that you follow that you are comfortable sharing, please?
Absolutely. A few things, and I'll go from backwards. I mean, one thing that I do, but I learned this again, I learned this from Mr. Chidambaranathan, is to always have a pen and paper with me. It sounds weird, but as a young man, you don't have these habits all the time. We learn these as we're older. So that's one, just to always take notes. But I think my morning ritual, which I will tell you is I happen to be a person of faith. I happen to be a Christian, is when I wake up in the morning, besides personal things, brushing our teeth and all that, I do 5 things, Arjun. 1, read my Bible. 2, pray. 3, push-ups, stretches, etc. 4, I drink a bottle of water, which I got that idea from Mr. Nathan. And 5, I have a healthy breakfast. Usually I have some fruit, some apples, some granola, some berries. Those are my 5 things that I do about every day. Read the Bible, pray, exercise, drink a bottle of water, and have a bowl of fruit. After that, I go on with the day. That's my habits.
And what's the last thing you do when you're wrapping up your workday?
Besides family time and things like that, that's not so much of a ritual, but usually goes back to I'm probably doing, if I'm not doing some more push-ups or stretches, I like to sit and think. It sounds weird, but I'll take a scrap of paper like this. You can see there's some writing on a scrap of paper, and I'll just like to go to a quiet area sometimes and just sit and think. Or if my wife's in the shower, I'm on Clubhouse doing things, but say the last 20 minutes, I have to come upstairs and just sit on the floor. Maybe I doze while I'm at it, but it's part of that process. Let me just decompress and not rush up from doing something.
And to me, no podcast is ever complete without a shout out for my amazing grandma. I used to call her Maiji. I grew up in Kolkata with her. She always told me exactly what you are doing is keep a blank piece of paper and a pen with you. Write down anything you hear that stands out immediately.
Yes.
And then she would explain later on, reflect on it. You may see things more beyond why it stood out and connect, and you may find nuggets always. She would tell me about the story of King Midas, who, didn't even realize when he got that power to touch and convert things to gold.
Yes.
And she just told me that every nugget could be a gold nugget. And I'm really glad you gave me that connection to reflect back on my amazing grandma. And of course, she has passed away quite a few years back, but she's always with me. So Ramon, this has been such a fascinating conversation. And, sometimes the resumes get you excited, but then when you find that person who lives everything that he talks about, it makes you, me and rest of us feel really happy and proud about all the success. And I really wish you amazingly great journey ahead. Is there anything else you want to share with all of us that I've not asked or, we have not talked about?
You've done such a great interview, and I do have a favor to ask before we're ending, which we can cut that or we can have it here, but it's a silly favor, but I'll ask you at the end. But
Answer is yes. Answer is yes.
Thank you, Arjun. I think the only thing I'll say is that to encourage people, and I get this from I called him my virtual mentor. We do know each other, but from a distance, is Seth Godin. And he writes about it a lot. And his thing basically is don't wait for somebody to pick you before you go forward. Sometimes you just have to take the reins and do it yourself. Don't wait to be chosen. So that's my encouragement. If you're listening to my voice and you've been waiting, when do I build my first Etsy store? When do I build my first business? When do I leave my company? When do I go back to school? Not knowing your specific situation, just do it with all things being equal and being safe and all that. But don't wait for time to pass because time, it goes by so fast. So that's my encouragement. Just do it. Just do it.
I love that urgency that you put. And to me, one of the things I learned the power of now, if you are listening and take a piece of paper and write now and hold it in front of a mirror, you will see the letters come up magically. This is the only magic Arjun knows. It will be WON. One. And I really love that whole impact that you're talking about, because now is the only thing we can focus on.
That's right. And
what you do now will make you feel you have won. So Ramon, last question. Of course, sorry, I lied because I asked one and said last, I have to.
It's all right.
So you constantly evolve. So let's say this conversation is happening March 2025. What's the future hold? Where is Ramon heading to?
Sure. If it's March 2025, if I had to dream, I would say the Ramon's Business Smart Hustle or something else by then is generating great cash flow. The team is a fine-tuned ship, and me and my wife are traveling around the world to help many people who don't have opportunity, to just help people who need help, to help the poor, the disadvantaged, to help people who just have lives that we're very fortunate. And I don't know your background, Arjun, fully, but today we're both sitting here. We obviously can eat, we can get clothes. There's some people today, the abuse, the lack of food, the impoverishment of the mind and finances they're in. I can't change the world, but I know through my church and things I do, me and my wife can possibly touch 2 people, 5 people, give just $20, $50. So that's 2025, traveling around, helping others. And I really mean that.
I love that. And to me, I think the spirit that you talk about, my daughter, her name is Raka. When I wrote a book called Raising a Father, initially it was called Raising a Daughter as a Single Dad. But then I realized it was Who Raised Who. And when we were getting ready to promote the book, I had an amazing marketing plan. Okay. She looked at and said, Dad, are we hurting? I'm like, no, why? She said, Dad, why are you getting so stressed? Why can't the vision of the book be touch one more person? And me being not that smart, I right away said, what happens if you touch one person? She said, touch one more, Dad. And what you are leaving us with that spirit is, it doesn't matter how big our assets are. We all are powerful enough to help one person. And that one journey of one more can really help us. And of course, in 2025, I would request you to put on your mission statement that LTR more is very important. Listen to Ronnie Moore, because now that she makes amazing lentils, I'm talking about when the world reunites. I
wrote it down.
LTR and now, those are the two things. Ramon, thank you. This is such an amazing conversation. And, to me, thanks for being here, authentically sharing from your heart. And this was an unplanned, beautiful conversation. Thank you, my friend.
Arjun, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for those you serve. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening to this amazing conversation. And with all the laughs and all the wisdom, now you know why I keep bragging about it's all about me. I have the best seat in the house to listen to these fascinating conversations. And very soon, it would be a pleasure to bring to you another conversation with another leader from another walk of life. And again, at the end of every conversation, I just feel, wow, this will be tough to beat. And I think this one would be tough to beat because there's only one Ramon. Okay. Thank you again. Happy listening.
You've been listening to Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen, founder and CEO of Zen Mango, top brand growth driver, and a former Fortune 500 executive who has been called one of the most marketing intelligent minds in the business. To learn more, visit www.zenmango.com. Share this podcast with your friends and subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts.